What's up, guys? It's your boys Wolkie back out with another of the Chris Watts videos, and this is an exclusive video of Chris Watts in prison by another inmate that was there, but didn't want to go public. But now he's giving us that information. I don't know why. But with that being said, grab a chair and get comfortable because we're going to be watching what Chris Watts is actually doing in prison, if he's actually dealing with it okay, or if he's having a great life like he thought, and then that dark presence that continuously hounds him that he keeps saying. What is it actually? So before we go any further, guys, make sure you guys are subscribed by hitting that wiper icon down the bottom right. Hit that bell icon next to it, so when I do post videos like this one, guys, we're gonna get that ring notification that I posted that video, and then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, I'm so blessed to have all of you guys, and I can't thank you guys enough. Keep doing what you guys are doing, and we'll continue to keep growing together on our goal to 100K. Speaking of support, though, we're watching a Viking Mindset 11. I don't know how he got the video, but he got the video. And then make sure you guys go over to Crime Catalyst as well. Give her some love by the video that we're about to watch. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So the ending video is going to be the exclusive content. So you got to make sure you watch all of this to get everything, okay? A family man gone murder. Monster, by the way. Another woman. This is probably why he sees this dark entity, because some people believe that there was a hex or a spell, or again, yeah, I know I'm not saying that this is true, because how do I know? And second of all, we're not in Harry Potter, but some type of ritual, voodoo, magic, dark entity, demonic presence that NK possibly whipped up down in that basement was what made Chris. I'm not giving any excuse to Chris, but he said this dark presence came over him. I think it's him, but he states he sees this entity as well in his jail cell. Also, he sees his loved ones, that he sees his kids dancing in his cell. It makes no sense, but let's continue.
Police in Colorado say they have found two bodies they believe are the daughters of Christopher and Shanann Watts. Christopher Watts reportedly confessed Thursday to killing his pregnant wife and two daughters. Watts appeared in court hours after police found his wife's body at an oil field where he works. Police said the other two bodies were found nearby. Watts could face up to 3 counts of first-degree murder.
Chris Watts had little to say in a Colorado courtroom this afternoon. Wednesday night, the body of his pregnant wife, Shanann, was discovered on the property of one of his work sites.
So somebody said this connection right here, something about the water truck, an oil tanker, whatever have you. Let me know if you want me to look into that side, because I know there was talk about a water truck that was, I don't know how it would be involved, but I know that it's on the internet as a talked about topic.
It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from.
He allegedly confessed to killing Shanann and their two daughters, 3-year-old Celeste and 4-year-old Bella, after he told reporters he had no idea where they were and begged for their safe return.
I have no inclination of where she is. If somebody has her, just please bring her back.
Shanann was last seen by a colleague who dropped her off from a work trip at 2 a.m. Monday. Asked by a reporter if the couple had been fighting, Watts responded,
"It wasn't like an argument. We had an emotional conversation, but I'll leave it at that. But I just want them back.
Family,
Laughing.
friends, and the entire Frederick, Colorado police force searched around the clock. 34-year-old Shanann posted frequently about her family on Facebook. In May, she wrote, "I love this man. He's my rock." In another post, she reveals to her daughters that she is having another baby.
She's facing possibly 3 murder charges and 3 tampering with evidence being the
said Watts was having an affair with a coworker and was unexcited to learn.
Did he say she?
Reveals to her daughters that she is having another baby.
She's facing
He said she.
To her daughters that she is having another baby.
She's facing possibly 3 murder charges and 3 tampering with evidence being the
Said Watts was
Why did he say she?
having an affair with a coworker and was unexcited to learn
Was he talking about NK?
his wife was pregnant again.
When you want to, it happens.
In his mind, his family had become a hindrance. If that's the case, you get a divorce. You don't annihilate your whole family.
Prosecutor Mike Rourke told me
I think
that
that's the only thing I agree with DA Rourke.
he expects Watts to serve his time outside the state of Colorado for his own safety. But Rourke also told me this kind of notoriety will follow Watts wherever he goes.
Christopher Watts was sentenced yesterday. He will serve 3 life terms plus 84 years for tampering with evidence and murdering his wife, Shanann, his daughters Bella and Celeste, and his unborn son, Nico.
Calculated and cold-blooded, these killings seem to jar everyone that they touched. Even the judge called it as vicious and inhumane as any case he has ever handled. And it was a dark side of Christopher Watts that seemed to come out of nowhere.
And it was a dark side of Christopher Watts that seemed to come out of nowhere.
Dark side.
Is Chris Watts just a typical family annihilator? 90% of family annihilator.
This is crazy to me. And what scares me is I'm in this gap right now between 30 and 40 years old. So I can honestly tell you, and tell the camera right now, that I will never, ever do that to my children or my spouse. Never, ever. So.
Are males between the ages of 30 and 40 years old with no criminal record. They are perceived.
I have no criminal record besides a speeding ticket because I was late to college class, and unfortunately I was going at like 111 and a 56, so I got quite a bit of a ticket. Now that's the only thing that's on my record. Other than that, I'm clean as a whistle.
By neighbors, friends, and family to be dedicated fathers and loyal husbands. People who have studied these types of killers have divided them into 4 categories. Self-righteous killers, where the father blames the mother for relationship issues. His main goal is to cause pain and suffering to their partners, and most likely will use the children in doing so. His killings are always planned out for a very long time, never spontaneous. Disappointed killers. He believes he was let down by those around him, mostly his children and spouse. He kills the entire family in order to keep his reputation.
Like NK was trying to do with her reputation.
He considers his family an extension of his economic success. When the status starts to break down, his family no longer serves this function, and he will kill them all. Paranoid killers. The father believes his family is in danger and needs to be protected. He kills the family in order to protect them from an outside threat. The psychological profile of a family annihilator is very complex. It is very different than the typical profile of serial killers and mass murderers.
Because they're really
Does
creepy.
Chris
He
Watts
was just
fit
quiet.
this type of killer? In my opinion, from what I've learned so far, he does.
Or they call him the silent killer because he comes out of nowhere and does this.
But many people disagree. Each person has their own theories to help them better understand what happened in this case. Is Chris Watts a family annihilator, demon possessed, or something else?
Or something else, the dark entity.
In this video, we are going to explore the dark things surrounding the Chris Watts case.
Warning. Trigger warning.
I understand this is a topic not everyone is interested in. If this makes you uncomfortable or scared, please do not continue watching. I also want to say that what I will be discussing in this video does not reflect my views or beliefs. I actually had no knowledge of any of these things without doing a lot of research first. We know there were some strange things about Chris Watts and his mistress NK's relationship. Although there is speculation that they knew each other longer, the evidence shows they were only in a relationship for about 6 weeks. How could they have fallen so deeply in love in such a short amount of time? We know NK was into crystals. She collected them, and according to Chris, she never left home without them. Crystals aren't necessarily evil. They can be used for healing and to ease stress. However, some believe crystals can possess magical powers and can harness the power of nature.
You never know.
They use crystals to manifest the things in life they desire. It has been said that
And Nicole had quite a bit of those.
person doesn't need any special skills or talent. You simply need to understand which crystals to use and follow the right process to manifest what you want. Did NK, being a geologist and collecting crystals, have this knowledge? Did she use her crystals to perform some kind of a magical ritual? Possibly to make Chris turn away from his wife and fall deeply in love with her? We know she also loved wildflowers, particularly sunflowers. Sunflowers have a long history with spells and witchcraft. The sunflower is considered a flower of loyalty because day after day it follows the sun. It is also often associated with fertility. In order to bring about conception, people will eat sunflower seeds or take a ritual bath with sunflower petals.
What the hell?
Chris talks about NK giving him a drink every night when he stayed at her apartment. He said she called it a spiritual cleansing drink and it tasted like a tea. He never questioned what was in it, but noticed she never drank it. It was only given to him. Flower petals, herbs, and many other ingredients can be used to make a spiritual awakening cleanse. This is used as a way to cleanse negative energy or emotions around you. It can be used to open a person's third eye. It is associated with wisdom and intuition and is located in the pineal gland, which philosophers believe is the seat of the soul. It is opened in order to help someone identify underlying patterns in their life and make sense of their own potential. You can see how something like this could be dangerous for someone like Chris Watts, who doesn't ever express his feelings or emotions and had resisted them his whole life. He most likely was experiencing a very stressful emotional time given his circumstances. During the opening of the third eye, a person can experience what is called a Kundalini awakening. This awakening can be performed in many different ways and methods, but yoga is one of the main causes that can trigger a Kundalini awakening. NK owned a yoga studio called Satya. Satya means truth, but in Latin it means Satan. 3 days after Chris's confession, NK closed her secret business. Chris said NK had a friend that she was in business with that taught her how to do an awakening procedure. If this procedure isn't done correctly or the person is unaware or not prepared, it can be very dangerous. It can feel like a psychotic break with reality. It should only be practiced under the guidance of a trusted and knowledgeable teacher. The sudden shift in perception can be extremely overwhelming if the person is not prepared. This process should never be rushed. There are a wide range of side effects: vivid dreams and nightmares, We know Chris mentions having reoccurring dreams before the murders.
Did say that.
Scary,
multiple times.
accurate intuition. Chris says many times in his letters, I didn't want to kill my family, but I knew it was going to happen. Becoming fearless. Chris said he could have killed anyone in front of him that day and felt justified for doing it. Astral projection, which means it feels like a part of you leaves
It's
your body
gone.
and travels elsewhere. Chris has said he felt like someone else was holding his hands around Shanann's neck, and he didn't understand why he couldn't just let go. Last, chaotic and erratic behavior. Did NK perform this procedure on Chris Watts?
She had to do it for something.
Or could Chris have experienced it spontaneously due to some changes that were going on in his life at the time?
So, evil woman that person
Some
is.
magical rituals are performed under the light of a new moon. Every new moon brings with it a fresh start, so a ritual done under a new moon will harness energy to ensure intentions will manifest. It
could
is
have done
good
in the
for
basement.
bringing in a new love. A new moon is hidden under a shadow, and spellcasters will do spells for something hidden. On Saturday, August 11th, 2018, a little more than 24 hours before the murders, there was a new moon.
That's a bit creepy.
On the same day, there was also a partial solar eclipse. A new moon spell with a partial eclipse would bring in a fast-moving relationship and a swift transformation. Something that would normally take a long time to manifest would happen unnaturally fast.
Which I think it was longer.
Could this explain why a man would kill his entire family to be with a mistress he only dated for about 6 weeks?
Could be.
In Discovery, we see that Chris Watts Googled the Paracutin volcano on Sunday, August 12th, just hours before the murders. This volcano is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. It grew unnaturally fast from a farmer's field in Mexico. Its sudden appearance shocked the townspeople there. The farmland became a mountain with lava bowling out of it. It destroyed 5 nearby towns. No one was killed by the lava
serious.
when the Paracutin volcano erupted, but 3 people were killed by the lightning that was generated by the volcanic rock. Spellcasters worship this volcano like a god in order to tap into its power. When Shanann was in Arizona, her flight was canceled because of a storm. The electrical power went out at the restaurant where Shanann and her friends were having dinner. She texted Chris and unknowingly listed the 4 natural elements. She said there is a really bad dust storm, rain, thunder, and lightning. Dust equals earth, storm equals air, lightning equals fire, and rain equals water. Sunday evening, again hours before the murders, Chris Watts Googled the Dead Sea Scrolls. These passages have been known to contain magic that can ward off evil influences and bring good luck. They offer protection for someone who may be in danger. Did NK have the knowledge to access the Earth's rocks and minerals and use it to harness power from the Paracutin volcano? Her magic spell to ensure her intention would manifest.
I think this is going a little
could
too
have
far, but
overpowered the warnings and protection angels sent to save this family. Because Chris Watts, in the end, became like a fiery volcano, unleashing rage that he had never felt before.
Alrighty.
I'm working on part.
So with that being said, guys, we can continue on the part 2, but we're going to go jump right in to the exclusive stuff about Chris Watts and what's happening in prison.
Piece of shit, screaming, I'm in fear. So recently, Chris Watts made the news again.
Make sure you guys also know that this could be a little bit of cussing and stuff like that. So I don't allow it when I say it, but unfortunately some videos can't be removed of everything when it comes to the words and so forth. So please bear with me.
Piece of shit, screaming, I'm in fear for my life. I don't know what to do. So I reached out to a friend of mine who's very close to the prison he's at, and he gave me a rundown of what's going on with Chris Watts. Now, first, you have to understand that the more safe and secured...
And this guy is the Viking Mindset 11, so he's the guy. This is his video.
A prison is, the more dangerous it is. So they have all the high, notorious piece of shit chomos with all these high cases, just rats and just pedophiles that have to be put away for their own protection, serial killers. But they're also housing shot callers, the most violent, unmanageable inmates in the state. People who call the shots on the streets and in prison. They're all mixed together. And then you have the COs who have the most violent, unmanageable inmates, some of the highest ranking, most notorious gang members in the state. And then you got the trash, pedophile, chomo piece of shits like Chris Watts, who killed his 2 little girls, his wife who was pregnant. And if you think for a second, a CO who's getting disrespected every day and he goes to work can get money, whatever he might be into, women, you know, they have so many ways to show him a life that he never knew existed. And also, while he's bringing in whatever they want him to, all that disrespect stops because the shot callers say, look, he's with us. Until he fucks up or he's no good, leave him alone. Then you have the straight sadistic COs that all you gotta do is go to Google and look them up, that literally go out of their way to get inmates like Chris Watts or even people, non-violent drug offenders that are doing like 1 year, put in with the worst of the worst to get killed because of a little disrespect. They got a power trip. It's a coward with power. And then, like I always say, time doesn't exist in prison, only opportunity. That's the recipe for disaster, or some might say for success. So a friend of mine who's close to the prison that Chris Watts is in tells me that he is going through it. In the beginning, you know, they were extorting him, getting his true crime memorabilia, just completely having all his little followers and minions, just bringing whatever they wanted in. Well, eventually that stops. Time goes on and people don't want to keep doing that shit. They don't really care about that shit. Like I said so many times before, when his name dies, he dies. Not necessarily physically, but when he can't reach out to the media and have 20 people lined up to interview him, when his mom isn't recording things, everyone's trying to hear everything or what's going on here, that's when he's begging to get more media attention because he knows that without the media, there is no saving him. Because if something happens to him when the whole world's watching, it fucks up the money. People are getting transferred, people are getting fired. It just fucks up everything. So they rather extort, constantly put that pressure on him. And then once enough time has gone by, he gets exactly what many people think he deserves. So what my friend told me is he wrote to a media outlet, his family or whatnot, you know, saying he's in fear for his life, trying to get out of there because every day they're fucking with his food. They're poisoning his shit, throwing piss in his face. And he knows from what he's seen in that prison that doors get open all the time. People in medical are waiting for you all the time. He's getting called to medical and he's not even putting in requests to go. He's no good anymore. He's no good to the organizations. He's no good to the media. The only thing he's good for is the victim's revenge. A CO can just take that trash out. Imagine being surrounded by that type of piece of shit, knowing just one click of a button, one gassed up inmate and it's a wrap. Then you have inmates that want to get that badge of honor and be the one that took out that piece of shit.
See, I told you.
You got the victims
right here.
That don't forget, friends of the victims, you know, family members, everything you can think of. They're the ones that don't forget. So while he's trying to get a little attention, no one really gives a fuck. They're like, bro, we don't care. You killed your family. You're a piece of shit. There's been enough documentaries about you. We've heard enough about you. you got to go do your time. He told me he's in the cell pacing back and forth. They open up the flap, piss thrown in his face. They say they got a bounty on his head anywhere he goes. And he knows he can't say who or why because he involved his family. This is dark shit of prison, but this is the reality. When you do dark, evil, sadistic crimes, you bring your family into it also. When you hurt women and children in sick, sadistic ways, like I say all the time, it's unfair, but it's the reality. The same way you guys say, oh, well, if you do the crime, do the time. Well, that goes for you sick, sadistic motherfuckers who hurt women and children. Unfortunately, when you dark shit like that, now your family's a target, your friends, anybody who associates with you. Because the more
nobody wants to talk
pressure
about
they
you.
can apply on you, the better it is. Some dudes will just hit you up and write a book about it and be the guy that took out Chris Watts and make money for their family on the outside. They don't give a fuck. Some people will take it as a hit and just completely, organize something, and it could take 10 years for it to happen. But they squeeze and squeeze until there's nothing left. And just one day, like with Billy Chamarmar, the guy from Texas who killed those 20 elderly women, 20 years after he killed all those people, he was stabbed to death, beat to death in his cell. Whitey Bulger killed all those people, notorious rat, snitch, had some fucked up chomo allegations, walked right into a prison, beat to death in a wheelchair. They were waiting on him, popped his eyeball out. And that was 20 years after he went on the run. He got put in. So that just shows you people never forget. It's a sick, twisted world in there. He's crying about his safety. What about those baby girls? What about your wife?
Yeah.
What about the baby that was inside? That didn't
Amen.
even have a chance to even experience life. You do that dark stuff, and your life becomes closer and closer.
This guy is pretty much telling us what we said in our head and just don't want to say. This guy's just laying all out for Chris Watts.
The walls start caving in until there's only one way out. Nobody wants to hear a grown man that killed their entire family cry about not being safe. There's only one thing they want to hear. So at the end of the day, my friend told me he's just getting tortured. The COs are spitting in his food, basically telling him it's almost time for you, brother. No matter where he goes, no matter what prison, it's all the same. And that's for anybody, whether it's a year, 20 years, like I always say, it doesn't matter. You bring your family into it. When you hurt women and children, you bring your friends and everybody else. And in the whole time, you're in constant pressure, constantly being extorted, having your food spit in, just death threats, always knowing that door might open by accident or that blind spot might be there. Just like that Dr. Nassar. He was in protective custody. He was acting real brave. He got put in a blind spot by accident, stabbed 23 times. People don't let that shit slide when you're a sick, demonic motherfucker. And this isn't to say, oh, such an honorable inmate. No. There's some people that belong in prison. But when you hurt women and children, it does something to a man. When you see that type of evil, when you see that motherfucker and you're missing your family and your children, and you think about the terror that poor woman and those kids all went through, and it's just like whatever it takes. And that's his reality. His food is spit in, pissed in, jizzed in. They're trying to poke him with dirty needles, just the most horrendous shit, day in and day out. His family extorted, friends extorted. Every time he looks out his cell window, people are screaming death threats at him, letting him know, oh, you just ate my fucking shit. Cell crime, my friend told me. And then 10 years, 20 years, we know how this story ends. Stop hurting our women and children. Stay out, stay free. Us.
Man, you heard him. Holy cow, man. He is not doing too good in prison right now. I can't say that I'm not happy, because I'm definitely glad to hear that he is not enjoying his life, that he knew what he did was wrong. He could have had his wife that loved him and took care of him and was there, and the girls that loved him and looked up to him as a hero. And he did it for what? Nicole Kessinger. So that being said, comment your guys' thoughts down below in this video. Definitely let me know what you guys thought when it comes to my reactions and so forth, and if it agrees with yours. Hit have a great night. Keep nerding on, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.